What's going on, everybody? My name is Justin Godsey for the Justin Godsey Podcast. Thank you so much for checking out tonight's video. Today, guys, we're here talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks pitcher Vidal Nuno as he made his Diamondbacks debut tonight against the Miami Marlins. Now, I am a big fan of this move. I am 100% in on this move. I love this addition of Nuno coming to the Diamondbacks, as this is a big addition to this roster. Now, a couple of days ago, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the New York Yankees agreed to a deal that would send Brandon McCarthy of the Diamondbacks at the time to the New York Yankees in exchange for Vidal Nuno. Now, both players in their own rights were having, their own problems. Nuno was 2-5 with a 5.42 ERA, and going forward down the line, it was very questionable. He has 17 games under his belt. He started 14, having a couple of relief appearances, and going down the line with the New York Yankees, it was getting very questionable. The New York Yankees is always that veteran team, so they went out there. The Arizona Diamondbacks, in their own right, they're trying to rebuild. They're in the rebuilding phase. The Yankees are going to end up going in a rebuilding phase, very, very soon. So the Diamondbacks, for the most part, are, they're trading away their pieces. They're still not done. They traded Joe Thatcher, Tony Campana, and now it's Brandon McCarthy. And, this team, I honestly still do not think is done. But you know what? I really like what they did, and they traded a guy who was, having a much struggling season. Then Vidal Nuno, I think Brandon McCarthy was at a 2-10 record. His ERA was at a straight 5. So nothing 100% was going forward for Brandon McCarthy. I respect the guy for what he's done. He came back from that, that head injury in which he sustained in Oakland, trying to come over to the Arizona Diamondbacks last season, could not get the job done last year, and this was a year he really had to put it on the line, and he has just not contributed, in a positive way for the team. So they ended up trading him away to the New York Yankees. As for Vidal Nuno, like I said, he's coming over to a team where he has an opportunity to get the playing time that he needs. He's going to have a much better opportunity, to rise through, the pitching rotation rather than he was over there in New York, which is going to have, Michael Pineda, it's going to have CC Sabathia, and the names are going to just keep on piling up, and it's going to, end up, pushing Nuno out of the rotation. So the Diamondbacks are a team in need of pitching right now, as this team has taken, shot after shot to the chest when it comes to the rotation. You do have Wade Miley there just a few seasons ago in his rookie year. He had one of the best rookie seasons as a pitcher that I have ever seen in a few years. This year was probably one of the most drastic years because, Daniel Hudson is still out with his elbow injury. He has been out of the game for quite a while now. I think about a season and a half, or going on to 2 seasons. And then on top of that, you just lost Bronson Arroyo for the year. I think earlier this week he announced that, or earlier during the weekend, he announced he's going to undergo Tommy John surgery. So this team has really been doing a lot of changes, and putting Randall Delgado in the rotation, taking him out of the rotation, switching the entire rotation out. Chase Anderson's in there, Boslinger is in there, and they have done a MLB total of 11 pitching rotation changes, and that is a lot in baseball. Minus the McCarthy trade, and it's just very much of a big mess out there in Arizona when it comes to the rotations. So we need a powerful. They really need a much hungry, a much younger pitcher to come in there and add on to this very dominating. I think going down the line, you just add some more run support to this Diamondbacks roster. I think this is going to be one of the most interesting pitching rotations going forward. Chase Anderson, Balzinger, these guys are all good. These guys are going down the line as being top prospects and legitimate starters going down the line for the Diamondbacks. But it will all determine on the health of Bronson Arroyo. It will all determine on the health of Daniel Hudson, how will these guys, come back after their injuries. So Vidal Nuno came over to this. Yes, I've been on here for about 2 minutes. We are finally getting into this game for Vidal Nuno. Now, Vidal Nuno coming into this game, like I said, taking on the Miami Marlins with that heavy-handed roster, filled with all-stars. He just, had a game 6 days ago against the Tampa Bay Rays, and he has not had the greatest of outings this entire season. But in this game, we saw something new, and I think this is where it's going to be, sitting at home. I think this was a game where he really needs to, get by the fans and, leave it all on the field, because, you're in a new house, you're in a whole new area, you're here in Arizona, the fans are great, it's not like Yankee Stadium, we're going to get out, you're going to go there, you're going to have the fans, reacting and having, that awesome mentality out there in right field. You're also going to have, a fan base that's really true and loyal. So when you look into the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, this team really needs that, much younger prospect, that much younger guy to come in here and really round out the rotation. But you know what? In this game, he's going to rise up and through this rotation. Now, tonight's game against the Miami Marlins, I was very disappointed by the way the bullpen was took it with Addison Reed. I respect Addison Reed a whole lot. I spoke to him yesterday, and, he was a great guy. I'm a big fan of him. He's one of my favorite closers in current day baseball. But you know what? This is just not his year. He's another American League pitcher making that full-time transition into a National League team and facing off against National League hitters, because before the MLB started doing, season-long interleague matchups, American League pitchers never got to, pitch against National League. It was just, a short time out of the year, and it wasn't a whole thing to worry about. But now that, we're having interleague play all year, it's completely different. And, Addison Reed's taking effect to it. It's just the biggest problem. And, Addison Reed ended up blowing the game. Vidal Nuno went 7 strong innings. I thought this would be a game where he just, he tastes a little bit of the National League. He gets a little bit of a taste of what's going to be expected of him in Arizona. I would expect, Kirk Gibson to really hold him into the 6th inning. I think after the 6th inning, I think it would have been the right time to pull him out of the game. Just get him prepared. This was going to be a great game for him to be prepared for, going forward. He's facing off against a very hard-handed team in the Miami Marlins, but he went out there and impressed us for 7 solid innings where he only gave up 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. That is a season high in strikeouts in any other game that he has played in the 17 game appearances that he has played in. That is fantastic numbers for him, 7 strikeouts. And, he did give it those 3 hits. He walked 1 batter, and that was pretty much it. That's a solid outing for a guy who is only in his early to mid-20s right now. And going forward, this team's going to be relying on him in a big note, because, when you look in this other rotation, there's still a lot of, development for Anderson. There's a lot of and Balzinger there. Cole Mentor is a guy who really bounces around from the rotation to the bullpen, but he's full-time into the bullpen. Or in the rotation now, I should say. But going forward, I would expect Vidal Nuno. I don't know why I said Nunez. I apologize there. I expect Vidal Nuno to really be that number 3 on this roster. I think right now, even though we're just right about the All-Star break, he's still going to get a handful of starts. But you know what? I think Cole Mentor, the lengthy veteran on this roster, he deserves that number 2. I think Cole Mentor is a good option at number 2, and have Vidal Nuno just work under, Wade Miley, have him work under Josh Cole Mentor for a bit. Learn from these guys, and then you can also, end up going down in the future, rise and possibly end up being a number 2. I still think it's going to be hard for him to really beat out, Wade Miley. But you know what? You also got to look at next season. How will Vidal Nuno, work for next year's, pitching rotation? That means, Balsinger is going to end up being out. Chase Anderson could possibly be out because you're going to have the returning Patrick Corbin. Wade Miley's going to be in the mix. Cole Mentor's going to be in the mix. Bronson Arroyo's going to be in the mix. So it's really hard going forward for Vidal Nuno. So like I said, this is going to be, the time for him to really shine, because he's the one that's making the biggest noise after 1 appearance with the Diamondbacks. But going forward, it's going to be very interesting. So let me hear your guys' opinion on Vidal Nuno's MLB or Arizona Diamondbacks debut. I don't know why I said MLB there. He made his DBacks debut tonight. Let me hear your guys' opinion about that. Do you think that he can really crack, as one of the top pitchers in next year's pitching rotation? I would love to hear from your guys' comments about this. I'm Justin Godsey for the Justin Godsey Podcast, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.